how did you get that footage of Diddy?
I figured most journalists would not disclose their source.
If Sean Combs watches this, what do you think he's going to feel?
I think he's going to say this is the best documentary I've seen in a long time.
Diddy sent those to 50?
Diddy's like funeral flowers.
Does he know y'all have this in the doc?
I would doubt. My favorite villain? I kind of like Diddy.
There are no misconceptions about me.
Jay-Z is setting Diddy up.
Jay's definitely.
Jay helped you?
Yeah.
How did you
As a
help him?
competitor.
Explain it.
Yeah, because he never was someone that you communicate with that you're like friends with the person. But I always respected him because he was never an actual competitor in actual fact. He was someone who was a competitor through perception.
How close was Diddy and Jay-Z? They was close enough that they wasn't playing basketball. They wasn't playing baseball. They wasn't playing football. And they wasn't playing hockey or soccer for Diddy to come on stage, pat him on his and then make the statement to people in the world that can't nobody call me Sean but Jay-Z.
And B was, one time she jumped off of the ledge, came running over because she thought me and Jay had issues. And I was like, what the? And I was like, did she really just jump down and run over here like that?
Beyonce jumped off a ledge. Yeah, what happened?
It was in the Cosmopolitan, huh?
She really a superhero.
She jumped down and no, she was like, this what? Like that Bonnie and Clyde for real? You try this or what, boy? I'm here. Word. She looked down like at me. I said,
Solange with her?
She looked at me like that. I was like, what?
A fresh storm is brewing, one that merges lingering rumors, recent scandals, and accusations that many assumed had faded away long ago. At the heart of it stands 50 Cent, an artist who has spent years publicly challenging people he believes are shielded by industry power. One name he has consistently called out is Diddy. But now, according to 50, the story has moved beyond just one mogul. This time, he is suggesting that the next wave of scrutiny could reach figures like Jay-Z, Beyoncé, and Oprah Winfrey, three of the most powerful names in entertainment. These are individuals who have appeared in speculation before, but rarely have they been referenced so directly in this context. The situation escalated when 50 Cent hinted that he might possess new footage connected to the same inner circles tied to the Diddy controversy. He suggested that the documentary focused on Diddy could be only the beginning, followed by a short message that quickly spread across the internet. "You're next." Fans immediately started speculating, with many assuming the message was aimed at Jay-Z and Beyoncé. Questions came just as fast: why them, why now, and why right after the documentary's release? Some observers point to long-discussed industry connections, circles shaped by business ventures, exclusive events, and overlapping networks of influence. When the Netflix documentary on Diddy premiered, viewers noticed how closely his professional and social circles intersected with others in the industry. From projects tied to Roc Nation to appearances at major events, many of the same names appeared repeatedly. Now, 50 Cent seems to be signaling that proximity alone may no longer protect anyone from renewed scrutiny, as past footage, claims, and narratives are being re-examined under a more intense spotlight. If his hints carry weight, this could be just the beginning of a much broader conversation.
These were private conversations, and that he and Diddy could talk openly, and Mark could talk to Diddy not just as a client, but as a person, and tried to guide him in a time leading up to his arrest. And unbeknownst to Mark Agnifilo, Diddy has got this guy recording the conversation as he's sitting there saying, "You are screwing this up. You are messing up this case. We're losing." And knowing that that's on tape. And it's almost like he's performing for the camera and not telling Mark what's going on. And the really enraging part about it is that Mark Agnifilo won this case for Diddy with legal strategy. It wasn't just an accident that this jury that had heard all of this in the news before the trial voted not guilty on all the serious charges. It was Mark Agnifilo that did that. Yet Diddy secretly records this guy and embarrasses him. And yeah, you could say, well, Diddy never expected that it would end up being broadcast somewhere else. Well, okay, but Diddy was planning on using it, or he wouldn't have had it recorded in the first place. So it's just really, really unfair. And I know that in a way this sounds crazy that I'm getting so upset about Diddy, and yet there's video of Diddy beating Cassie. Well, that's horrendous. But that doesn't mean you can't look at something else as well. And I just think, as a lawyer, I just think this is just so outrageous that he would do something like this, and not even understanding what Agnifalo's legal theory was. Because I will tell you that when we did our first documentary on Diddy, which was 8 months before the trial, Mark Agnifalo said to me on camera that he is going to tell this jury that this was a successful black man that prosecutors were trying to take down because they couldn't get into his bank accounts because they were clean, and he couldn't deal with they couldn't deal with taxes because he wasn't committing tax fraud. So they go into his bedroom. And that's what Mark Agnifalo said 8 months before. And he goes into the trial and he essentially wins that argument. Whether you believe it or not, a jury that sat through the whole thing, they believed it. And ultimately they convicted him on this BS Mann Act thing. So Diddy won that case. And one of the reasons he won the case is something that Agnifalo got criticized for. That when he did the documentary with me, he was making a joke about the baby oil. Remember, he said, oh, well, you know, I didn't know he bought in bulk. He must have bought 1,000 bottles at Costco. And a lot of people just slammed him for that and said, how dare you? You're being disrespectful. The baby oil is the smoking gun in this case. Agnifalo knew all along that the baby oil was Diddy's best defense. Because when Agnifalo got before that jury in closing arguments, he looked at them and he said, well, the feds came in with their armor and artillery and guns. And what did they do? They got 1,000 bottles of baby oil off the streets. Ooh, he said, the streets are safer now. And the jury laughed. And that laugh told Agnifalo he should keep going on that. And that the trial itself was absurd because the baby oil was really the...
As time went on, Jay-Z continued aligning himself with some of the most influential figures in entertainment, including Diddy, Oprah Winfrey, and various major media and corporate leaders. And whenever 50 Cent believed something was being overlooked or protected, he responded in his signature style through sarcasm, public criticism, and strategically timed social media posts. But this time felt different. For the first time, 50 appeared to directly warn Jay-Z, suggesting he may have access to footage or material that could impact Beyoncé and the broader Carter circle. Fans quickly picked up on the shift in tone. That is largely because 50 has built a reputation for following through when he hints at having documents, recordings, or inside information, fueling intense online speculation. This is also where Oprah's name entered the conversation. Then he began questioning why Oprah was being mentioned alongside Jay-Z, Beyoncé, and figures connected to Diddy. Part of the answer lies in resurfaced criticisms and 50 Cent's long-standing public disagreements with her. Over the years, he has accused Oprah of being selective in how she uses her platform, arguing that certain figures receive more scrutiny than others. He has pointed to her involvement in discussions around R. Kelly, contrasting it with her past association with Harvey Weinstein. On a personal level, 50 has also referenced the fact that Oprah declined to interview him, something he has publicly mentioned more than once to his supporters. That history helps explain why her name is now being pulled into the broader narrative, and why some believe the situation could extend beyond a single individual.
Sights on someone new after the Diddy Netflix documentary. If you aren't aware, 50 Cent has been getting insane feedback from the Netflix documentary he made on Diddy. Sean Combs' The Reckoning is what it's called, and it's #1 all over Netflix, beating even Stranger Things. Diddy himself has responded to it saying the stories are false, of course, denying everything, and even trying to do a cease and desist on the Netflix documentary. And after this Diddy documentary, a lot of people have been wondering who's the next person that deserves to get exposed. And Jay-Z is the one that a lot of people are pointing their finger at. And the reason why Jay-Z has been getting a lot of this type of backlash is because Jay-Z was really close to Diddy. At one point, Diddy was even calling him his brother, and that Jay-Z's the only one that can call him his real name, Sean. That maybe there's something on Jay-Z's side that has been going on behind the scenes. Now, there hasn't been any solid proof yet, but Nicki Minaj has been going at Jay-Z for quite some time, talking about Jay-Z is manipulative and he steals, and he's been pushing a narrative, and that Roc Nation has control and power over a lot of things. And I can kind of understand where she's coming from to a certain extent. We got to remember when Jay-Z went up on the Grammy stage and said Beyonce never won Album of the Year and complained about that. Literally the following year, Beyonce wins Album of the Year, which is just something like that doesn't show you that there is some power going on there, that there is something behind the scenes that Jay-Z controls. It's clear as day that it's all politics on who wins Grammys, who gets the better light and things. So that kind of opened my eyes, as to Roc Nation's power and how they manipulate things in the media. I'll never forget Jay-Z would get this like special treatment all the time when it comes to the media. I mean, Hot 97, when they interviewed Jay-Z, they literally rolled out a red carpet. They never did that for any other artist. So Jay-Z's always had this kind of special treatment when it came to things. But now the question is Jay-Z involved in crazier things? I mean, there's been a lot of speculation in a lot of different ways, and people are pointing their attention towards 50 Cent wanting him to do a Jay-Z documentary. And it looks like he might actually do it, because on Instagram, he posted a drawing of Jay-Z that kind of makes fun of his looks. And he posted that photo and he said this in the caption: "Please stop sending me stuff like this. I'm not going to post it." Basically making a joke, because obviously he posted it on his social media. But, and here's the interesting but in this, is someone commented on the post and the comment got liked by 50 Cent. And this is the comment. It's from Dom KMDA. I hope I pronounced that right. Dom Kanmada. He commented saying, "My only question, he's next, isn't he?" And 50 ended up liking that comment. And here's the thing. I actually saw this on Twitter and X, whatever, Twitter X, whatever you want to call it. And I wanted to confirm, is this real? Because a lot of people Photoshop these type of things just to create drama and create this speculation. So I actually DM'd the guy himself and I showed him the photo and I asked him, "Hey, is this a real photo? Did 50 like your comment?" He said, "Hey, yes, he did." And I was like, perfect. Thank you for confirming. Thought it was Photoshopped. I will appreciate the response. And he said, "I was surprised as well. Didn't see that coming." So shout out to him, for, responding to my DM and confirming that, the comment actually got liked by 50, because, a lot of people Photoshop and spread narratives. So me being the proper journalist, whatever you want to call me, news reporter, I, wanted to go get to the source and see if it was actually real. There is also something that's very interesting that went over a lot of people's heads, and that's the documentary coming out on December 2nd. That Diddy documentary coming out on that date. Literally 2 days later, you have Jay-Z's birthday, December 4th, which to me sends a subliminal message to Jay-Z that you're next. So that's crazy. That just, to me, shows that 50 is potentially going to work on something going at Jay-Z, and he might get Nicki Minaj involved, because Nicki Minaj has a huge issue with Jay-Z with a lot of things, and I don't even know the full details of that, because she's gone at
Jeffrey Epstein, he was connected to that same kind of elite circle. And now people are asking the same question: how is this going to play out? How is the public supposed to respond? Are they really going to let him return like nothing happened? The public in many ways has already reacted. Some are choosing to distance themselves. But has the industry done the same? That is the real question, because among those linked to Diddy's circle, there has not been a wave of clear, unified condemnation. Instead, the responses tend to be measured or absent. Some defer, saying things like, "Let the process play out," while others remain completely silent. And that silence stands out not necessarily as proof of anything, but as a reflection of how carefully people in high-profile positions manage reputation and public perception. There are also moments like statements about personal connections between figures such as Jay-Z that spark debate about whether they reflect genuine loyalty or simply controlled messaging. At the end of the day, what people are noticing most isn't just what is being said, it is what isn't. And in a situation this visible, silence can become part of the conversation just as much as any statement. Over the years, criticisms have resurfaced about how Oprah Winfrey has interacted with certain black celebrities. Ludacris once claimed his interview responses were edited and that he was lectured about rap music while promoting a film. Dave Chappelle later suggested his own interview framed his concerns as paranoia rather than acknowledging the pressure he described at the time. Monique has accused Oprah of contributing to her being sidelined after Precious, while Taraji P. Henson has spoken about being underpaid for her role in The Color Purple. 50 Cent has publicly supported several of these concerns, arguing that he sees a pattern in how accountability is applied within the industry. There were also controversies tied to the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls, particularly incidents reported in 2007 and 2011 that drew significant media attention. In more recent years, online conspiracy theories have attempted to link Oprah to unrelated claims, many of which have been widely debunked. Still, those narratives continue to circulate in certain corners of the internet. Now, with 50 Cent already targeting one major figure through a widely viewed documentary, some believe Oprah could face renewed scrutiny, especially after he hinted that future revelations may involve unexpected names. Industry and Hollywood connections often overlap. The paths of Oprah Winfrey, Jay-Z, Beyoncé, and Diddy have crossed repeatedly over the years. Oprah has interviewed Beyoncé multiple times and praised her influence, supported projects connected to Jay-Z, and been present in many of the same high-level industry spaces. Beyoncé has also participated in major charity efforts linked to Oprah's network. Individually, these moments are typical in an interconnected industry. But for some observers, the repeated overlap has sparked renewed curiosity, especially as past associations are being re-examined in light of current controversies. Diddy and Jay-Z have maintained a long-standing professional relationship. Over the years, they have collaborated on music, appeared together at major events, and operated within many of the same business and social circles. When conversations turn to the so-called elite networks around Diddy, Jay-Z and Beyoncé are often mentioned, not because of direct accusations but because of proximity. The same rooms, the same award shows, the same investment ventures, and the same private gatherings within influential spaces. In an industry built on access and relationships, simply being close to power can draw attention. And as past connections are revisited, some observers believe figures once seen as untouchable are now facing a much brighter and more scrutinizing spotlight. Jay-Z has attended high-profile parties. Beyoncé has appeared at events connected to similar circles. Oprah Winfrey has publicly praised figures who are now facing scrutiny. None of that on its own suggests involvement in wrongdoing. But in today's digital climate, repeated proximity is often enough for names to circulate together. And once the internet identifies a pattern, attention escalates quickly. 50 Cent has warned of that. In his view, this is only the beginning, hinting that more revelations could follow. After challenging Diddy, some observers believe that any next chapter would involve figures of similar influence. Many ask why 50 has positioned himself at the center of this wave of commentary. Supporters point to how he built his career, less dependent on traditional industry alliances and more rooted in independence through television, business ventures, and branding. That distance from conventional power structures, they argue, gives him more freedom to speak openly than others might. Throughout his career, 50 has embraced confrontation, challenging artists, executives, and major figures across entertainment. He often frames his arguments around interviews, legal records, and publicly available information, which has helped maintain credibility with his audience. So when he suggested that even figures like Jay-Z and Beyoncé should pay attention, many did not dismiss it outright, not because of confirmed evidence but because of his reputation for following through on bold statements. Whether this leads to concrete revelations or simply fuels ongoing debate remains unclear. But one thing is certain: when 50 Cent speaks, both the industry and the internet pay close attention. Fans are now asking whether this moment could reshape public trust in the entertainment elite. Some believe the next project from 50 Cent, if it materializes, could impact careers, reputations, and long-standing partnerships. Others see it as another layer in an already complex narrative, while some predict wider disruption across the industry. Supporters argue that 50's warning did not come across as a joke or casual rumor. It felt deliberate and calculated. And now the bigger question circulating online is this: if new material or claims emerge, how will the industry respond? And will figures like Jay-Z, Beyoncé, or others tied to these conversations be ready for the level of scrutiny that follows? At the center of it all remains Diddy, with ongoing legal attention and a spotlight that shows no sign of fading. For now, everything sits between speculation and verified fact. What actually surfaces and what proves credible will ultimately determine how this unfolds. So, what do you think? Is this the start of a larger shift in Hollywood or just another cycle of speculation? Drop your thoughts below, and if you enjoyed this breakdown, subscribe so you don't miss what's next. Until then, stay informed.